Apple is one of the most famous companies in the world. It is known for making beautiful and smart technology. People love Apple products like the iPhone, iPad, MacBook, and Apple Watch. But Apple was not always a big company. It started as a small dream in a garage. This is a story that inspires many people. It shows how a small idea can grow into something big. Apple was started by two young men, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, in 1976. They were friends who loved computers. They wanted to make computers simple for everyone to use. At that time, computers were very big and only used by big companies. Steve and was wanted to change that. They worked very hard and built the first Apple computer by hand. It was called the Apple I. Even though they had little money, they believed in their dream. They worked day and night. They did not give up. Soon, people started noticing their computer. They sold more and more. Then they made the Apple II, and it became a big success. Apple started growing fast. Steve Jobs had a strong vision. He wanted to make products that were simple, beautiful, and easy to use. In the 1980s, Apple made the Macintosh. It was one of the first computers with a screen and a mouse. It changed the way people used computers. Apple became a famous name. But the road was not always easy. There were many problems too. At one point, Steve Jobs had to leave the company he started. But he did not stop dreaming. Years later, Steve Jobs came back to Apple. The company was in trouble. But Steve brought new ideas. He introduced the iMac, iPod, iPhone, and iPad. These products changed the world. Apple became one of the richest companies in the world. People loved the design, the quality, and the experience of using Apple products. Today, Apple is not just a technology company. It is a symbol of creativity and innovation. It teaches us to think different, to believe in our dreams, and to never give up. The story of Apple is more than just about computers or phones. It is about vision, passion, and the power of ideas. In this video, you will learn the full story of Apple. From its beginning in a small garage to becoming a global leader. You will learn about the people behind the success. You will see how hard work and new ideas can change the world. This story will not only teach you about a company, but also inspire you to dream big and do your best. Let's begin the journey of Apple. Chapter 1. The founding of Apple. The story of Apple began in 1976. It started in a small garage in California, USA. Two young men named Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak had a big dream. They loved computers and wanted to make them simple and easy for people to use. At that time, computers were very big, very expensive, and difficult to use. Only big companies and universities had them. Steve and was wanted to change that. Steve Jobs was good at ideas and business. Steve Wozniak, also called Woz, was very smart with technology. Together, they made a great team. They decided to build their own computer. They worked day and night in a garage at Steve Jobs' parents' house. That garage became the first office of Apple. Their first computer was called the Apple I. It was simple but it worked well. Wozniak built it by hand. Jobs helped to sell it. They sold the first Apple I computer to a local computer store. They made 50 computers in total. Each one was made by hand. The computer store sold all of them. That was a big success. Because of this small success, they wanted to do more. They needed money to build better computers. Steve Jobs talked to many people. Finally, a man named Mike Markula gave them money and support. He believed in their dream. With his help, they started a real company. On April 1, 1976, Apple Computer Incorporated was born. In 1977, they built a new computer. It was called the Apple II. This was a big step forward. It had color graphics and was easy to use. People liked it very much. It became one of the first successful personal computers in the world. Schools, homes, and offices started using it. Apple was now becoming a well-known name. Steve and was kept working hard. They hired more people. They moved out of the garage and into a real office. Apple started growing very fast. The company became famous for making smart and beautiful machines. The beginning of Apple shows how big things can start small. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak had no big office or a lot of money. But they had a strong idea and a lot of passion. They worked hard and did not give up. They changed the world of computers. This chapter is about more than just starting a company. It is about friendship, belief, and hard work. It shows us that dreams can come true if we stay focused. Apple's story began in a small garage, but it grew into one of the biggest companies in the world. This was just the beginning of something amazing. Chapter 2. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, the early days. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were two young men with big ideas. They both grew up in California, in the United States. Even though they were very different, they became good friends. Steve Jobs was full of energy and dreams. He liked art, design, and business. Steve Wozniak, also called Woz, was quiet and smart. He loved computers and electronics. Together, they made a great team. Steve Jobs was born in 1955. He was adopted by a kind family. As a child, he liked to take things apart and see how they worked. He was curious and asked many questions. Wozniak was also born in 1950s. He liked to read books about electronics. He built small machines for fun. Wozniak made his first computer when he was still in school. Steve and Woz met in 1971 through a friend. They quickly became friends because they both loved technology. They would talk for hours about machines and new ideas. Wozniak showed Jobs a small computer he built. Jobs got very excited. He believed that people would want to buy small computers for their homes. At that time, this idea was new and different. One of their first fun projects together was a small device called a blue box. This box let people make free phone calls. Wozniak built it, and Jobs helped to sell it. They did this just for fun, not for money. But it showed them that they could work well as a team. It also showed Jobs how powerful technology could be. Later, Wozniak built a new computer at home. It was simple, with a keyboard and screen. Jobs saw it and said, "Let's sell it." Wozniak was not sure at first, but he agreed. This was the start of something big. They wanted to help people use computers easily. They believed that computers should not be only for big companies or schools. They should be for everyone. They started building the computer in Jobs' garage. They named the company Apple. No one knows exactly why Jobs chose that name. Some say he liked apples because they are simple and fresh. Others say it came from a fruit farm he liked. But the name was easy to remember, and that was important. In the early days, they did not have a lot of money. They had to sell their personal things to buy parts for the computer. Wozniak sold his calculator. Jobs sold his old car. But they believed in their dream. They worked hard, every day, even when it was difficult. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were different in many ways, but they respected each other. Jobs had the big vision. Wozniak had the skills to build things. Together, they made something special. These early days were the first step on Apple's long and successful journey. Chapter 3. The Rise of the Macintosh. After the success of the Apple II, Steve Jobs wanted to make something even better. He had a big dream. He wanted to build a computer that was simple, smart, and beautiful. This new computer would be for everyone: students, teachers, workers, and families. He wanted it to be easy to use and fun to look at. This dream became the Macintosh. In the early 1980s, most computers were hard to use. People needed to type long commands to make them work. Steve Jobs wanted to change this. He saw a new idea called the graphical user interface. This means people could use pictures and a mouse instead of typing. You could click on icons to open files. Today this is normal, but back then, it was something new and exciting. Apple started a small team to build this new computer. They called it the Macintosh team. The team worked very hard. They wanted the Macintosh to be fast, small, and easy to use. Steve Jobs pushed the team to do their best. Sometimes he was very strict. But he also gave them great ideas and strong support. After many months of hard work, the Macintosh was ready. On January 24, 1984, Steve Jobs introduced it to the world. He gave a famous speech and showed a big advertisement on TV. In the ad, Apple said the Macintosh would bring freedom and new thinking. People were very excited. The Macintosh was small and looked nice. It had a screen, a keyboard, and a mouse. It was the first personal computer that many people could use without special training. It had fun sounds, smiling icons, and simple programs. People loved it. Artists, teachers, and designers liked using the Macintosh for work. Even though it was new and different, not everyone accepted it at first. Some people thought it was too simple. Others thought it was too expensive. But slowly, more and more people began to see how special it was. The Macintosh showed the world that computers could be friendly and fun. It changed the way people thought about technology. The rise of the Macintosh was a big moment for Apple. It showed the power of new ideas. It showed that a small team with a big dream could change the world. The Macintosh helped Apple grow. It helped Steve Jobs become even more famous. But it also brought new challenges. Other companies like Microsoft started making their own software with Windows and icons. Still, the Macintosh was the first to show what was possible. It opened the door to modern computers. Today, many of the things we do on laptops and phones started with the Macintosh. The story of the Macintosh is about thinking different, trying new ideas, and never giving up. It is one of Apple's most important chapters. It was not just a computer. It was the beginning of a new way to use technology. Chapter 4: Turmoil and Steve Jobs' Departure. After the success of the Macintosh, Apple became more famous. Many people knew about the company. Steve Jobs was still young, but he was already a big name in the world of technology. He had great ideas and big dreams. But running a big company is not easy. Apple started to face problems. In the mid-1980s, Apple was growing fast, but not all products were doing well. Some computers did not sell as expected. The company was spending a lot of money. Inside the company, people were not always happy. There were arguments about ideas, money, and power. Steve Jobs was full of energy, but sometimes he was also difficult to work with. He wanted everything to be perfect. He pushed people very hard. Because of these problems, Apple's board of directors made a big decision. They hired a new man to help run the company. His name was John Sculley. He came from a soft drink company. Steve Jobs liked him at first and asked him to join Apple. Jobs thought Sculley could help sell more computers. At first, they worked well together. But soon, things changed. Steve and Sculley had different ideas. Steve wanted to take big risks and make bold products. Sculley wanted to be more careful. He wanted to sell more of the old products instead of trying too many new ones. They did not agree on how to lead Apple. The disagreements became stronger. The people at the top of the company had to choose between Steve Jobs and John Sculley. In 1985, the board chose Sculley. Steve Jobs was removed from his job leading the Macintosh team. Soon after that, he left Apple. Steve Jobs was only 30 years old when he left the company he helped to build. It was a very sad time for him. He felt lost and hurt. But he did not give up. He still believed in his ideas and in the future of technology. He started a new company called Next. He also bought a small animation company. That company later became Pixar, which made famous movies like Toy Story. Meanwhile, Apple continued without Steve Jobs. The company still made computers, but it started to face many problems. There were new competitors. Sales were not strong. Apple lost its way. Many people began to wonder, could Apple survive without Steve Jobs? The time after Steve Jobs left was full of change and difficulty. But it also showed how much one person can mean to a company. Even when he was not there, Steve's ideas still had power. His dream of simple, beautiful computers was still alive. This chapter shows that even great people face hard times. Steve Jobs left Apple, but he never stopped dreaming. Sometimes, we have to lose something before we find a new path. His story was not over. A new chapter was waiting, one that would change everything again. Chapter 5. The Return of Steve Jobs. After Steve Jobs left Apple in 1985, many things changed. He started a new computer company called Next. The computers from Next were powerful but too expensive. So, they did not sell well. But the ideas in Next computers were very smart. These ideas would become important later. At the same time, Apple was not doing well. The company tried many new products, but most of them failed. Sales were going down. People were not excited about Apple anymore. There were many CEOs, but none of them could bring Apple back to success. In the mid-1990s, Apple was in big trouble. Some people thought the company might even shut down. In 1996, Apple made a big decision. They needed new software to make better computers. So, they decided to buy Steve Jobs' company, Next. This was a surprise to many people. Because of this deal, Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997. At first, he was just an advisor. But soon, he became the CEO again. When Steve returned, he found a company full of problems. There were too many products, too many teams, and not enough good ideas. He made quick changes. He stopped many projects and focused on just a few things. He wanted Apple to be simple, clear, and strong again. One of his first big moves was to bring back great design. He worked with a designer named Johnny Ive. Together, they created new ideas for computers. In 1998, Apple released the iMac. It was colorful, fun, and easy to use. People loved it. It looked very different from other computers. The iMac helped bring back people's interest in Apple. Steve Jobs also changed the Apple stores. He wanted customers to enjoy visiting and trying products. In 2001, the first Apple store opened. It was a new way to sell technology. People could touch, test, and ask questions. The stores became very popular. Jobs believed that technology should be simple and beautiful. He focused on a few great products. With his leadership, Apple started to grow again. Steve gave inspiring talks to show new products. He wore jeans and a black turtleneck, and people listened carefully. He made technology exciting. Steve also worked on building a strong team at Apple. He brought in smart people who shared his vision. Together, they made a plan for the future. This return was not just about Steve. It was about a new way of thinking. It was about making products that people truly loved. The return of Steve Jobs saved Apple. His ideas, passion, and focus helped the company come back to life. Apple went from near failure to becoming one of the world's most powerful companies. This chapter is about second chances, strong leadership, and the power of never giving up. Steve Jobs showed that one person, with clear vision, can change everything. Chapter 6. The iRevolution, iPod, iTunes, and iPhone. After Steve Jobs returned to Apple, the company started to grow again. But the real change came in the early 2000s. Apple moved beyond just making computers. It started to change the world of music and phones. This big change is called the iRevolution. It began with 3 amazing products: the iPod, iTunes, and the iPhone. In 2001, Apple launched the iPod. It was a small music player. You could carry it in your pocket and listen to songs anywhere. The first iPod could hold 1,000 songs. That was a big deal at the time. Most people used CDs or tape players, which could only play one album at a time. The iPod was light, easy to use, and cool. Its famous slogan was, 1,000 songs in your pocket. People loved it. To go with the iPod, Apple created iTunes, a music program. It helped people to organize their songs on their computer. Then, in 2003, Apple opened the iTunes Store. This changed the way people bought music. Before, people had to buy full CDs. Now, they could buy just one song at a time online. It was cheaper, faster, and more fun. Millions of songs were sold. It helped musicians too, because more people could hear their work. The iPod and iTunes together changed the music industry. They made Apple a leader in digital music. But Steve Jobs was not finished. He had a bigger idea. He wanted to combine a phone, a music player, and a computer into one small device. That idea became the iPhone. In 2007, Steve Jobs stood on a stage and showed the world the first iPhone. It had a big touch screen, no keyboard, and just one button. It looked simple, but it could do many things. People could call, send messages, play music, go online, and use apps, all in one device. The iPhone was like a small computer in your hand. The iPhone changed everything. Before it, phones were not smart. They could only do a few things. After the iPhone, the world started using smartphones. People began to use their phones for almost everything. Apple also opened the App Store, where people could download apps for games, health, maps, and more. The iRevolution made Apple more than just a computer company. It became a part of people's daily lives. Millions of people used Apple products to listen to music, talk to friends, take photos, and explore the internet. The iPod, iTunes, and iPhone made life easier and more fun. This chapter shows how Apple changed the world by thinking different. With simple but powerful ideas, Apple created a new way for people to live and connect. The iRevolution is not just about technology, it is about music, art, and people. And it all started with a dream to make life better, one song and one phone at a time. Chapter 7: The App Store and Ecosystem. In 2008, 1 year after the iPhone was launched, Apple introduced something new and exciting: the App Store. This small idea became a big part of Apple's success. It changed how people used phones and created a new world of apps. This chapter is about how the App Store and the Apple ecosystem helped the company grow even more. An app is a small program that you can use on your phone. There are apps for many things: playing games, learning languages, listening to music, ordering food, and much more. Before the App Store, phones had only a few built-in apps. But Apple gave people the power to download more apps from one place: the App Store. The App Store was easy to use. People could open it, search for an app, and download it in just a few seconds. Many apps were free. Others cost only a small amount of money. It was fun, simple, and useful. Very quickly, millions of people started using the App Store every day. Not only users, but also developers, people who make apps, loved it. Apple gave developers the tools to build apps and share them with the world. Anyone with a good idea could make an app and earn money. This created a big app economy. Some small developers became rich. Some games and tools became very popular around the world. The App Store also helped make the Apple ecosystem strong. An ecosystem means all the parts of something work well together. Apple's products, like the iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, and Apple TV, are made to work together smoothly. If you have more than one Apple product, they connect easily. You can start a message on your iPhone and finish it on your Mac. You can take a call on your iPad or send photos from your Apple Watch. This is the power of the Apple ecosystem. Apple made sure that all devices had the same design and feel. This made people feel comfortable using different Apple products. The more products people bought, the better their experience became. It made people want to stay with Apple. Services like iCloud, Apple Music, FaceTime, and iMessage also became part of this ecosystem. iCloud stores your files and photos safely online. Apple Music lets you listen to millions of songs. FaceTime and iMessage help you talk with friends and family easily. All of these work better when you use Apple devices together. The App Store and the Apple ecosystem helped Apple grow into more than a phone or computer company. Apple became part of people's lives. It gave people the tools to work, play, learn, and stay connected. This chapter shows how small ideas can make a big difference. A simple app can help millions. A strong system can make life easier. Apple's App Store and ecosystem show the beauty of connection, creativity, and smart design. It helped Apple become not just a tech company, but a lifestyle. Chapter 8. Design, Innovation, and Brand Power. One big reason for Apple's success is its strong focus on design and innovation. From the beginning, Steve Jobs believed that technology should not only work well but also look beautiful. Apple wanted to make products that were simple, clean, and easy to use. This idea helped Apple build a strong brand and win the hearts of millions of people around the world. Apple's design is known everywhere. When you see an iPhone, iPad, or MacBook, you know it's an Apple product. The shape, the color, and the smooth feel are all part of Apple's special design. Apple uses high-quality materials like glass and metal. Their products are light, thin, and modern. The famous Apple logo, just a simple apple with a bite, is one of the most recognized symbols in the world. Apple also believes in innovation, which means bringing new and smart ideas to life. The company always tries to do things in a new way. For example, the iPhone changed the phone industry. The iPad gave people a new way to read, play, and work. The Apple Watch brought health and fitness to your wrist. These products didn't just copy others, they created something new. One of the people behind Apple's great design was Johnny Ive, a British designer. He worked closely with Steve Jobs. Together, they focused on making products simple and beautiful. They removed buttons and made everything easy to understand. Even the packaging, the box your Apple product comes in, is carefully designed to make you feel excited when you open it. Apple's brand is also very strong. A brand is more than just a name or a logo. It is how people feel about a company. When people think of Apple, they think of quality, trust, and style. Apple doesn't just sell products, it sells experiences. People enjoy using Apple products because they are smooth, fast, and easy to learn. Apple also uses smart marketing. Their ads are simple but powerful. They don't talk too much about the technical details. Instead, they show how Apple products can make your life better. Whether it's taking great photos, listening to music, or staying healthy, Apple shows real people using its products in real life. Apple stores also help build the brand. These stores are clean, open, and bright. Customers can try out products, ask questions, and get help from friendly staff. The stores are not just for shopping, they are part of the Apple experience. All of these things, design, innovation, and brand power, work together. They make Apple different from other companies. Apple doesn't just follow trends. It sets them. People all over the world wait in line for the newest iPhone or watch every Apple event online. This chapter shows that great design and fresh ideas can create more than just products. They can create love, loyalty, and a strong connection with people. That is the true power of Apple. Chapter 9. Leadership after Steve Jobs. In 2011, the world lost a great leader. Steve Jobs passed away after a long illness. People around the world were sad. He was more than just the co-founder of Apple. He was the heart of the company. Many people asked, what will happen to Apple now? Before he died, Steve Jobs chose Tim Cook to be the new CEO of Apple. Tim Cook had worked at Apple for many years. He was smart, calm, and good at managing people and products. Steve trusted him. But still, taking over after someone like Steve Jobs was not easy. At first, many people were not sure about Tim Cook. He was not like Steve. He was quiet and didn't enjoy being in the spotlight. But slowly, he showed his own style of leadership. He did not try to be the next Steve Jobs. He focused on making Apple stronger in his own way. Under Tim Cook, Apple continued to grow. He helped the company make more money than ever before. He also focused on improving products, helping the environment, and caring for people. Apple became the first company in the world to reach a value of $1 trillion and then even $2 trillion. That showed people that Tim Cook was doing a great job. Tim Cook also helped launch new products. The Apple Watch became very popular. It helped people stay healthy, check messages, and track exercise. Apple also made better iPhones, iPads, and MacBooks. Tim Cook helped Apple move to its own chips, called M1 and M2, which made computers faster and more efficient. But Tim Cook's leadership was not just about technology. He also made Apple more open and caring. He spoke about equality, privacy, and the environment. Apple promised to use clean energy in its factories and offices. The company also made sure its products could be recycled and used again. Another big part of Tim Cook's work was services. Apple started new services like Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple News Plus, and Apple Fitness Plus. These services gave people more reasons to stay in the Apple world. They also helped Apple earn more money every year. Tim Cook also worked hard to build new Apple stores in many countries. He wanted more people to enjoy Apple products around the world. Apple became more global than ever before. Even though Steve Jobs is gone, his spirit is still part of Apple. The company continues to think different and try new things. Tim Cook respects the past, but he also looks to the future. He leads with care, focus, and a big heart. This chapter shows that great leadership comes in many forms. Steve Jobs was bold and creative. Tim Cook is calm and thoughtful. Both helped Apple in different ways. Together, their leadership shows us that a strong company needs strong vision and strong values. Apple is still growing, still dreaming, and still leading the world. Chapter 10: Apple Today and the Future. Today, Apple is one of the biggest and most successful companies in the world. Millions of people use Apple products every day. From the iPhone in your hand to the MacBook on your desk, Apple has become a part of daily life. But Apple is not just about phones and computers anymore. It is about ideas, experience, and the future. Apple now makes many different kinds of products. These include the iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, and AirPods. All these devices work together in a smart and simple way. For example, you can take a call on your iPhone and continue it on your Mac. You can take a photo on your phone and see it on your iPad right away. This is called the Apple ecosystem. Apple is also strong in services. People use Apple Music to listen to songs, Apple TV Plus to watch shows and movies, and iCloud to store photos and files. There is also Apple Pay, which lets people buy things with their phones instead of cash. These services are easy to use and safe, which is why people trust them. Another important area for Apple today is health and fitness. The Apple Watch helps people stay healthy. It can count steps, check your heart rate, and even tell you to relax when you feel stressed. Many people use the Apple Watch to help them move more and sleep better. Apple is also working hard to protect the environment. The company wants to be carbon neutral. This means they want to make their products without hurting the earth. Apple is using more recycled materials and clean energy in its offices and factories. They are also making devices that last longer and can be recycled more easily. But what about the future of Apple? Apple is now working on new technologies that could change the world again. One of these is augmented reality, AR. This means mixing the real world with digital images. Apple's new product, the Apple Vision Pro, lets people see apps, videos, and games in 3D. It's like having a computer in your glasses. This could be the next big thing after the iPhone. Another future idea is self-driving cars. Apple has been working quietly on car technology. People believe that one day, Apple may create a smart electric car. If that happens, It could change the way we travel. Apple is also working on better artificial intelligence, AI, to make Siri smarter and help people in new ways. This can help users find answers, write messages, or do tasks more quickly. Apple's future looks bright. The company keeps growing, learning, and trying new ideas. It remembers the dream of Steve Jobs, to make tools that help people think, work, and live better. This chapter shows that Apple is not just a company from the past. It is a company of today and tomorrow. With smart products, strong values, and bold ideas, Apple will continue to inspire the world. Vocabularies. 1. Innovation, a new idea or way of doing something. 2. Ecosystem, a system where things work together smoothly. 3. Founder, a person who starts a company or group. 4. Design, the way something looks and works. 5. Leadership, the action of leading a company or group. 6. Brand, a name or symbol that shows a product or company. 7. Departure, the act of leaving a job or place. 8. Revolution, a big and important change. 9. Developer, a person who makes computer programs or apps. 10. Vision, a strong idea or plan for the future. Quiz questions. 1. In which year was Apple founded by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak? 2. What was the name of the first computer built by Steve Wozniak? 3. What was the name of the first Apple computer with a graphical user interface? 4. Who became CEO of Apple after Steve Jobs was removed in 1985? 5. What was the name of the colorful and popular computer launched after Steve Jobs returned? 6. What device did Apple release in 2001 that allowed people to carry music in their pockets? 7. What is the name of the place where people can download apps on Apple devices? 8. Who worked closely with Steve Jobs to design Apple products? 9. Who became Apple's CEO after Steve Jobs passed away? 10. What is the name of Apple's mixed reality headset announced for the future? Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed learning with us. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends and family. Your support helps us grow and bring you more inspiring stories and easy English learning content. Do you have a topic you'd like us to cover in our next video? Maybe a famous person, an invention, or a country? Let us know in the comments or messages. We'd love to hear your ideas. You can find answers in the description. Thanks again, and keep learning with us. See you in the next video.